evening, or welcome to Total Dust. And yes, what a little intro that was, right? It made me sad. It made me blub a bit. Didn't really, because I'm a big gory man. Never cry. Although I did cry at one film. I think it was Cocoon, and I can't even know why. Remember Cocoon? No idea what was so sad in that film. Anyway, yeah, it's very sad. They're not going to show anything at FanFest. Big mistake, CCP. And perhaps the last mistake you shall ever make. I'm kidding. I just think, you know, they have their reasons. I don't know. It's a shame that they're not going to do anything. Boosh! By the way, shotgunning with an Apex suit, that's all I'm doing. I'm going to die a lot, but I might kill quite a bit as well. Enjoy. Anyway, the the premise behind the whole FanFest malarkey has always been showing something new, so obviously that's always nice. Now, the weird thing is, and here this is the irony, and I'm using the word properly this time, of the situation, is that actually, ironically, they have done more development on Dust lately than probably ever before, maybe, just saying, because you've got so much more content now. It's a good thing. So it's weird that they're not going to celebrate that content by showing us more things. I don't know, to me it's just such a massive own goal. It doesn't give a great message to people playing the game. It doesn't give a great message to the gaming media. It doesn't give a great message at all to the EVE players, who are already disinvested from this game anyway, and being that that's maybe your cash cow, you're going to listen to what your EVE community says, probably a bit more than your Dust community, which costs you money. So I just think there's a real kind of mistake there, just making, again, Dust look like the diseased, deformed half-brother kind of chunk-looking fucker from Goonies. Do you know what I mean? I just think they could have done so much better than that. It's a shame. It's a shame. That's all we'll say about it. Yes, I'm bitter and twisted because we weren't asked to do a video for this year. We could have done the most. We already had the idea planned out, and it was going to be the trolliest little trolly troll ever made with this game, which, considering this channel's content, is a hell of a statement already. I think you'd agree. But there we go. Can't do it now, so I'm just going to press delete. There we go. I'm deleting it right now. I'm kidding. We probably may show it, but I have to finish it first. That was the irony, is I started kind of doing a few bits and bobs thinking, let's do something excessively trolly and funny and silly and daft and dumb. And then I thought, actually, probably should just wait to see what the agenda is for FanFest first. And then I saw it and I was like, oh. And I whimpered a little. My bottom lip quivered a little bit. But and then I realised, to be honest, if they're not going to show anything on Dust, okay, you can have round tables, but oh, Jesus Christ, do I give much of a monkeys about round tables? The answer, of course, on the card is no, because round tables are just going to be so nerdy and filled with kind of like, so this officer suit has got a 3% increase to shield recharge. How can that be fair? I would like to table a motion that we talk about this for the next 27 years and forget about new content. CCP, I want your full focus, and if I don't feel you're taking me seriously, because even if I talk in this voice I must be taken seriously, right? Then in theory I should be able to be given what I want. And also I'd like to add a third slot on a tank so that I can basically install a chemical toilet. I don't know. Who gives a shit? Seriously, it's like, I don't get it. Why is that so important? Do people sit there with oh god, what am I doing? Of course they do. People sit there with spreadsheets and work out the scan range or the recharge rate or the damage per second on a blah 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 blah. People do that shit, right? And I guess I'm an idiot for not kind of acknowledging they do, maybe, just saying, oh God, I mean, what can you say? It's just... So that's my issue with the roundtables, is the roundtables are just going to be dominated by the I guess we'll have to name them. I think let's call them the detail nerds, who quite frankly should have just been killed in a car crash a long time ago. Just joking, just joking. But I think it really does need to be that kind of a change of this game. I'm totally sick of the only thing the CPM really get to do is balance. Why? Just, you know, fuck the balance. Who gives a shit about balance? Let's talk about new stuff. Listen to their ideas. That's all I say. Listen to their ideas. There's some good people on there. Listen to what they're saying, and don't listen to the people who are saying the officer suit should have 3%. Yeah, no, just punch them in the face and tell them to shut the F up. Gosh, I'm in a very violent mood today. I don't know what's happening. I think it's just the reality that I'm still quite bitter and twisted that, you know, there should be something in there to do with Dust. I mean, it's going to... I mean, I'm sure there'll be something in the keynotes, maybe. Maybe just a slide that pops up and says, we also did Dust. And then it moves on. If it's that, I'm happy. I'm happy if it's just that, because it does feel like at the moment this is such an unpopular. This, you know, people welcome scabies and herpes before they welcome this game, it would appear, and that's sad. Because this game, I mean, look at it, I'm having fun. This was my first round of the night, and probably my best round of the night, if I'm honest. Playing with a shotgun Apex suit, and that's all I was doing. I was just running around, shooting dudes in the face, having a laugh. And to me, that was a much more enjoyable round than any of the others that followed. It's funny, and let me try and kind of get this across, and I'll try and articulate this in a kind of way that doesn't balls up completely. Is the game is actually pretty good. The mechanics, the gun game, they're pretty good. They're pretty solid. There are better, yes, but it's not a bad game. The controls are kind of getting there, I guess. They're still a bit clunky, but again, big problem? No. What I would say the big problem is at the moment is nothing really that CCP have any control over. And it's because nobody really plays the gun game anymore. Let me just quantify that. Because, like, on this map here, we're fighting a load of people who, let's face it, they're not contesting the points. Do you see what I mean? It's like in dominations, you'll have, you know, like a few times where you might have a close match, but generally one side gives up very early, and what then happens is they descend into a process where all they're doing is using crappy mechanics. For example, getting a dropship, going on the high point, sitting up there with a forge gun and remote explosives. Yeah, it's a game, and that's part of the game, I admit. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but, well, I kind of am, because it stalls the game. So if you look back, and I can actually do this, and I may even do this in a montage, you look back at the old matches we used to have in Chrome Zone, people kept coming, and nobody was very, excuse the word, clever with their tactics. What they would do is they would run in and shoot people, and they would put pressure on a point and try to take the point. Nowadays, it's 50-50. You get a lot of people who say, okay, I can't beat these people, so I'm just going to remote explosive them. Okay, I can't beat these people, I'm just going to get in a heavy and, you know, try. You know, it's a little bit kind of bollocks, because there's never really been that sustained fight throughout the round, and I think that, to me, is the problem. I would like to propose to you a solution for this. I doubt CCP will ever hear this, but I'd like to propose a solution. And number one would be, yes, you continue this mode of game, but number one is you actually make a new mode of game where you have one life only. And then it's effectively a deathmatch style game. Now, I know that's very kind of non-immersive, etc., and I'm sure there's many commercial reasons due to server space and bandwidth that probably means you can't do this. But if you want to kind of make a game that's a bit round-based like Counter-Strike, you might as well mimic it perfectly, because Counter-Strike is actually still very, very popular. And it's popular because I think sometimes, and this is just a thought, and again, it needs thought, so just let's talk through the process. Would that mean vehicles are allowed? Maybe not. Would that mean that certain maps wouldn't work? Probably not, yes. I mean, this is the sort of thought process. But what would be the principle of a different game mode, and a hardcore game mode, effectively? It would mean that you have one life, and the game mechanic would change entirely to be one of preservation. This game has never seen preservation at all, because even in PCs, etc., you've got a lot of clones, and I don't really kind of feel that there's that it's a gung-ho game, is what I'm saying. And I think you could completely revolutionize the way the game works, the mechanics, the attempts to kind of win the match become important, and I'd just make it so that you have to perhaps just effectively only have one life, or that maybe there's something like a fixed suit regime as well. I don't know. To be honest, it doesn't really matter, because I mean, the game is done. You know, it is done. It is absolutely finished. It's, you know, it is complete, and they're just polishing it now. So what's the point in changing it? Probably none. Probably everybody who plays this game plays it for the round-based malarkeys that happen, and that's fair enough. That is what it's going to be. This is, you know, if you draw a line under it now, this is what people remember of Dust 514, the internet shooter game, is that it was a round-based game loosely based upon EVE lore, where basically you have a selection of suits and you shoot dudes. That's it. It's not really ever going to be any more. It's never going to be what we thought it would be, which would be open world DayZ resource collecting-esque style, but shooting drones in a PvP format, a little bit like Destiny, because Destiny beat kind of them to it. You know, Destiny is the bar for PvP, PvE games. Destiny is also terrible, just saying. But this is where it got to, and I think this is the hard decision I think CCP have to make, is what are they going to do with it now? You know, it's tricky, because I see a lot of content coming into the game that they obviously did mean for Legion, but the commercials are likely not there with Legion. It's because they've been divested, so somebody else owns huge chunks of CCP, so therefore your shareholders are always the most powerful party in any business relationship, because they own your company. You work for them. The CEO works for them. And that is the thing to bear in mind, because I just suspect there's an awful lot of desire to do more with this game, but the reality is the commercials aren't there. And let's face it, this cost them $14 million to make, at least, and that is now being, you know, never really been paid back potentially. So therefore they need to pay that back before they'll then entertain other projects. Do you think they'll do another shooter? No. I think Valkyrie is where they're going now, and I think Dust is just going to decline. It will just continually decline. It's not invested in highly. You think about the development team, it's all being done on a quote shoestring, and I suspect that's where it's going. But to be honest, you know, you've got another year's gaming out of this, potentially, from what was last year's FanFest, where they were, you know, saying they were going to switch the thing off. So everybody at that point was saying 6 months it'll be dead, 3 months it'll be dead. Even I was saying that. But the reality is that almost, what, a year later, 8 months, 9 months later, coming up to a year, it's still here, and it looks like it's going to be still here. And I think the only issue is that every round is getting more and more unplayable, because there is no influx of players, because there's no variation, because it's the same old flipping map. We had this map, Ashlands, over and over last night, and I gave up in the end because it was just the same flipping map. And I think this is the irony, is that eventually people are just going to sort of start to just fade away. And you're seeing it already, 3,500 down to, what, 1,800 now, starting to get towards 1,700 at peak, I would remind you. And there just is not the players playing this game, and that is unfortunately the decline of a game. So there we go. Look at that, 18 and 10. I kick ass. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.